Welcome to the show. Welcome to 100% Tilted. I am your co-host, rolling solo today, Michael-David, on 100% Tilted discussions with winning underdogs. And today in the studio, we have an interesting fella, a guy that you probably don't want to run into if you're on the wrong side of the law and you've decided to not show up in court. But this guy is a business owner, entrepreneur. To his credit, I believe around or over 500 skips, people that he's caught being a bounty hunter. Also a resident of Houston, Texas, actually Conroe. Is that right?
Montgomery County, baby.
Bail bondsman, husband, dad, son, brother, friend, and one of the most fierce bounty hunters in Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, to the 100% Tilted show, I give you Elliott Sondag.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for having me, brother. Yeah.
No, it's kind of nice having an intro, right?
Yeah, I like the intro, man. I was kind of, my ego was kind of, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Had to readjust myself.
Man, how are you?
Good, man. Yeah, I've been, it's good to be here, and it's good to kind of check in, you know what I'm saying, with another fellow traveler, man, business guy that I could share a little bit with. You know, I've just, like we talked about earlier, just been transitioning through the last corporate business that I've been in for the last 18 years, involving family and another business partner. And
is that how you got into it, by the way?
That's bail. Yeah, that's bail. Well, I actually got into bail bonds. I think my dad started it, but I think the reason he started it is because I was such an outlaw teenage kid. I think he probably had to get me out of jail
Didn't get
a
that
bunch
vibe.
of times. Yeah. I think I was his first client, kind of like the
Get
Hair
out
Club for Men. Not only am I an owner, but I'm a member. You know what I'm saying? So I had, my teens, I was a very wild kid. Hence me being a recovering alcoholic and drug addict today. You know what I'm saying?
No shit.
Been sober for 16 and a half years. I lived a wild life, you know what I'm saying? And I did end up in jail a handful of times. So I think that's what, we jokingly say that in the family. That's why we got in the business. But I think it was a lucrative thing for my dad at the time, back in 1995.
Less out-of-pocket expense, right?
Yeah, right? So I think, fast forward when I kind of got my life together and joined the company and we formed Bail Management Incorporated, I became, I was really good at what I did, you know what I'm saying? Because I'd been in jail, I'd been addicted to drugs and alcohol, you know what I'm saying? I'd put my family through the ringer, you know what I'm saying? With them having to get me out of jail and me, doing what I did in my addiction, So I think that is what made me rise to the top in my industries, because I just knew firsthand, what that was like, not only for me, but for what I did to my family. And so that kind of transferred over to bounty hunting for me also, like that criminal element and kind of how that person may think, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been there, I've never been on the run or nothing like that, but I'd been.
You knew them because you were them.
Yeah, truly, you know what I'm saying? And most people that we run into in my industry are in some form battling with alcohol or drugs. You don't go to jail sober. You know what I'm saying? That's what I found.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's just after doing this for so many years, it's just not something that, traditionally you're drinking and driving, obviously, because you're drunk. You know what I'm saying? You're stealing from, Walmart because you're high on drugs or pills. You know what I'm saying? You're driving without a license because your license got revoked from a DWI. It's just, cyclical. It's like a trickle down effect a lot of times from drugs and alcohol. I don't have many guys, call me from jail that just decide to beat their wife up. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Normally they're intoxicated and getting in an argument, and then there's restraining on somebody's part and the cops come out. But, ultimately, if that person hadn't been, a couple too many drinks in, they may have thought a little better about that argument with their significant other, or restraining that person or whatever. So,
I'll be honest, I live in the burbs, a little sheltered. And don't really see the criminal aspect of it, which you see. This is your job, right? And this has also been kind of part of your life for a long time, in that sideways with the law, right? You just showed up with like a bag full of onions, like of all these layers. Like I just want to peel back, Yeah. But from the suburbs and the bubble, and you kind of you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you see the reports on the news of a shooting or a stabbing, but it seems so far removed, right? And I mean, Conroe, where I live, I'm on the northeast side of Houston. Conroe's, 15, 20-minute jaunt, not that far away. But, we go downtown. We see all the bail bonds offices down at the courthouse. You always see that in whether it's a little town or a big city. There's bail bondsmen all around the courthouse and stuff, and near the jail where I guess people can go and bail their kid out or their husband or their brother or whatever. But crime is rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps, how many bail bondsmen would you say between Harris County, Montgomery, just in the Houston, Metroplex, how many bail bondsmen do you think there are?
I mean, I have offices in both Montgomery and Harris County. So in Harris County, I have my Godfather's bail bonds office. And then in Montgomery County, I have my 4A Better Way bail bonds office. Whether people are up or not on current events or even yourself, we discussed it a little bit. I mean, there's been a lot of reform going on in the jail and the bail industry over the last, really probably 4, 5, 6 years. And so to answer your question, there used to be around 100 bail bond companies in Harris County. There was a whole lot of bail bond companies. It's an industry that's been around for 100 plus years. But when all this jail and bail reforms, started coming down the pipe, kind of out on the West Coast and the East Coast, we just never thought it would really move to Texas, much less Houston or Montgomery County. But it's been well and alive here for the last probably 2 years. And so, I'd say that instead of doing like a commercial bond, let's say you got picked up for a DWI and they gave you, let's say, a $5,000 bond. The way that they're doing it now, and I think the way the system was originally designed was to, if maybe you're a first-time offender, that they would give you what's called a PR bond, where they let you out on your own recognizance, personal recognizance bond. So, once they started kind of transitioning over to a lot of this pretrial release or these personal recognizance bonds, obviously we were no longer posting bail, from the commercial bail side. So I would say there's probably a third of the bail bond companies, that have been around for, years and years and years. A lot of them had to close their doors, in the Harris County area. So, which brought a lot of there was probably a handful of companies that went from Harris County up here to Montgomery County, which has also affected my business here at my Montgomery County locations. So there's been a lot of change, in the bail bond industry.
Is there money in it though?
I mean, there's money to be made. I think that, with all this bail reform that's kind of come down the chute, I think it's kind of gotten twisted, like a lot of good things, can happen, when they're trying to do the right thing and try to help out the poor or these indigent people that may be incarcerated in jail. I think the pendulum's kind of swung a little too far. And so, like, maybe some of these, the way this system was designed originally for like a first-time offender, let's say my kid gets caught stealing something from Walmart, first-time offender, they go to jail, slap them on the wrist, give them a little PR bond, let them out. But like I said, that pendulum swung so far to the left now that, let's say Bob Smith, who's been arrested 30 times in Harris County, been to prison, been to state jail, missed court dates before and been on the run, and they're giving guys like this personal recognizance bonds, So like everything that kind of comes along sometimes with these good ideas that people have or these groups have, sometimes it just gets a little too far out there, man, because I think there should be a little bit more of qualifications behind, who gets a PR bond or gets released on their own recognizance.
There certainly seems to be a lot of question right now with part of this COVID pandemic thing is letting a lot of the prisoners out to help instigate social distancing within jail. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, that's how, I've spoke with the sheriff and some other people here in Montgomery County because my business has drastically been affected here in Montgomery County. And I think that a lot of this pretrial and this PR, because, Montgomery County is a pretty red county. I think it's one of the most populated Republican counties in the state, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Steve Toth actually said on our interview a couple of weeks ago that Montgomery County was one of the majority counties that, was massively percentage was red.
So with the bail reform deal, it's been kind of a traditional, kind of a left deal, kind of a Democrat deal, kind of trying to help out the indigent or these poor people that are wrongfully incarcerated in jail. I promise you that these high percentages of people that you're seeing incarcerated in these jails aren't stuck in there on little $500 misdemeanor bonds. That's from all the work I've done and all the research I've done. These people that are overpopulating these jails are people with parole violations, probation violations, immigration, high first, second degree type felony charges. I mean, that's what's clogging up a lot of the jails. I think so with Montgomery County, to switch back over to what you were saying, like with Montgomery County being a very conservative kind of a red county, we really never thought bail reform would come up here. Well, COVID segued that in right into this being like today. I was looking at the court docket, and I think over half the people that got arrested last night were released on some type of PR bond, personal recognizance bond. And these are all types of misdemeanors, and even some of these state jail felony type charges, so they're releasing people on felony charges, 400 to 200 gram dope cases on PR bonds, assaulting a police officer, all kinds of different charges that people have been getting released on these PR bonds. So with COVID, when it came in, they're like, we don't want the jail being, infected, with COVID. So we're going to release all these people on these PR bonds. Well, in my little pea brain, and the way I'm thinking is that if you bring somebody into the jail for 6 or 12 hours, even if you do release them on a PR bond later on, you still brought them into the jail, So I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not the sheriff or, constable or the DA or anything in Montgomery County, but, if we're going to be releasing these people anyways, I'm wondering why they're even bringing them in the jail. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what's really the whole goal of jail and prison is trying to reform, right?
Yeah,
Penalize for their actions and reform.
Think so, yeah.
But if the reform really worked, why do we still have this perpetual problem?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many arrests do you think have been made just in the past 30 days?
Here in Montgomery County?
Montgomery County and Harris County.
Oh man, I mean, I've seen arrest records as high as 500 people a day in Harris County. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking like the third largest city in the nation, right? Third or fourth, I think. Yeah, fourth largest city in the nation. So I mean, we're talking millions of people in Houston, the Harris County area. God. I'd say Montgomery County could be anywhere from maybe 20 to 50 people, depending on the day. In Montgomery County. So, I mean, there's a ton of people that get arrested. There's a ton of people out there messing up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get it. I mean, they're going to, like the legalization of marijuana and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's fine, whatever. I mean, like, I've been missing like that. The decriminalization of pot has gotten really, I mean, even though Texas, obviously, it's not legal here, I think maybe for some medical reasons and stuff like that. But as far as like, they kind of went from like Montgomery County, when I first started doing bail up here, I mean, they would scrape seeds and stems out of your floorboard and charge you with marijuana possession. You know what I'm saying? It went to going in and getting PR bonds for pot possession, and then it went to citations on the side of the road. And then I've seen, I've heard from a lot of law enforcement that, they're not even accepting charges now when they pull somebody over a marijuana charge. So, I mean, a lot of stuff's changed in the 20 years I've been in the business. I mean, it's, I don't think we'll ever do away with prisons and state jails and county jails and all that stuff, no matter how kooky it gets, you know what I'm saying? I think it's just something that, like bail's been around for years and years and years and years. And I think that it's going to come back around. I think that they'll see, like even in Harris County, like Kim Ogg, the DA, and Art Acevedo, I think, the police chief down there. Yeah. When they came in a couple years ago with some backing from some big powers that be, I think that was one of the top priorities, was pushing this bail reform. And I think after 2 years or so, now they're kind of seeing the repercussions of just cutting people loose. You know what I'm saying? And they're going, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, they're on record, the police chief and the DA, of going, oh yeah, we don't know quite about the PR bond deal now. It's kind of coming full circle. Because I mean, in extreme cases, they've seen murder cases and a lot of rise in crime, because sometimes somebody needs to sit in jail for a week or two or a month. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes maybe they're drinking a little too much or doing a little too much drugs, or pimping hoes or stealing stuff, and they need to go sit their ass out. You know what I'm saying? They need to go sit down for a week or a day or a month or whatever, and kind of get back out and kind of maybe, get a new view on things. But they're just cutting them loose. I mean, you're getting arrested and you're back out hours later.
But okay, so
what's happening with that, MD, is that there's no real repercussions. They are going to have to go to court eventually. You know what I'm saying? But they're getting right back out. Like officers on the same shift are seeing people they arrested when they first came on back out before they get off their shift. And so what's happening with that is people are like,
That's
oh,
crazy.
shit, I can steal this, beat that up, drive drunk this, grab Meemaw's purse, whatever.
There's no fear.
And it just the crime starts to ramp up. And I think they've seen a real rise in murder in Harris County.
So, from like the average Joe citizen, right, that, goes to work, punches in and out, goes to the grocery store, goes to church, what keeps, laws for the lawless, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the average person, there is that self-driven discipline that there's a fear about getting arrested, now having this on your record, having a mugshot. Like there's this fear of that the average Joe citizen, that's their biggest fear, right? I mean, that's why shoot, I get pulled over. I get that pucker factor, right? Like I'm about to get licks in school. Like when I was a kid, right? Like you can't squeeze out a wet fart, it just makes you nervous, right? But then other people, they're just habitual offenders, right? So to them, going to jail is no big deal. I've probably seen their homies, right?
Yeah, it could be.
So in an absence of fear, you have an absence of consequence. Mm-hmm. With an absence of consequence, it's just free reign, right? So there's no real recourse. So can you really reform somebody like that? Because too, and then here's my other thought. If you take a criminal, you put them amongst a group of criminals in jail, now they're hanging out with like-minded people, and you're the average of the 5 people you keep close. And if you're sitting there for 2 to 3 weeks, you may not have access to, say that. You can pretty much get anything in jail. Now, I say that.
That's what they say, I mean, the drugs are prevalent there as they are on the streets,
What was the movie? What was it? And the character said, it was funny, when I was in the free world, I couldn't seem to do anything, but I actually learned how to be a criminal in jail, right? Maybe it was Blow, maybe, with Johnny Depp, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
But I just often wonder, is putting them all in one place really the place for reform?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my logical thinking, right? Is that the best method? Now you're trying to put all these dangerous people in one place, protect, Department of Corrections officers around them, but even you hear about a lot of the corruption and a lot of the Abu Ghraib prison, but you never hear about it.
True.
Right? I mean, Huntsville's what, an hour away?
Yeah.
You're either a teacher or you work for Sam Houston State or you work for the DOC. Right. Right. That's pretty much
TDCJ. Yeah. If you're in Huntsville. Hunts Vegas.
There was actually one person I met that I believe was a barber at one of the prisons. Right. And they're like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. Like, it's crazy. Right. But I just wonder, like, what is a better solution though? I mean, from a naivety for me, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, skin color, upbringing, middle class, like I have a lot of privilege. Yeah. Right. Uh-huh. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Other people say it's socio-driven, it's environmentally driven. Other people say it's the fault of the system. I look at it as choice. I mean, I've seen people that have come from horrible childhoods, multiple different races, but found a way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I have a hard time empathizing with, because it's your environment, right? How many movies are made about people that came out of horrible situations and made something of themselves, right? I mean, you're an example of that, regardless of skin color, but you took whatever lesson you learned or whatever moment you just kind of had, like thump on the head going, what am I doing? Right? And I don't like where this is headed. I need to change something, right? Yeah. Or if it was pressure from family, but I just, what is a better way to reform people that are habitually criminal? Stiffer penalties?
That's a big
public
question.
hangings.
Yeah. I mean, you could get like the Middle East and start chopping off some fingers and hands and stuff.
That's legit. That happens.
Like public. Oh, that's for sure. No, I get it. Like,
to this day,
you go down to the square down here and we hang 8 people that committed some heinous felonies in Montgomery County. I'd imagine everybody'd be like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? Whoa. I don't know. MD. I mean, that's. I preach. I had the in 12-step programs, like in Alcoholics Anonymous, like I sobered up in. I mean, part of your 12 steps carrying the message. I mean, when I was in the office regularly, I could carry that message all day long. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause like I told you, most everybody that's in jail has a drug or alcohol addiction of some type. You know what I'm saying? Or was under the influence. And that's at their best time. I've been blessed enough to, put a hand out to a number of people that have changed their lives, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily because it was anything I said that was special, but because they were at that point in their life where they're like, yeah, I'm done, I don't want this life anymore. I'm tired of this life. And, they made a change, whether it was AA or Jesus or church or whatever they chose, you know what I'm saying? They found some way out. But, some people too, I mean, they go to prison for that second or third time and they're like, this is terrible. I want to go to sleep next to my wife and eat a steak and play with my kid and, you know what I'm saying, ride my motorcycle. And, I don't want to go to jail no more. You know what I'm saying? And they make that decision to, stop doing drugs or alcohol, or they'll stop doing drugs and start maybe just drinking, Sometimes that swap's not real successful, but especially if you have
it's still addiction. A Band-Aid.
Yeah, if you still have the addiction issue, I mean, it could be, if it felt good to slam your hand in the door, you know what I'm saying? You're doing it all the time. You know what I'm saying? If you're an addict, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so you can, stop doing, cocaine and start smoking weed and abuse that, or, stop drinking wine and, start drinking beer and abuse that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you got that ism that they talk about, then. So, I mean, I don't know the answer to that, on the reform side of things.
Now, I've watched you on your social, which I love the fact you became more public when you're out there doing a hunt, right? And you're hunting down a skip, right? I think that's the right terminology. Yeah. Okay. I did a little research.
Yeah. Chasing bad guys.
But I mean, you're this intimidating guy. Like you walk in, how tall are you? Like
6'2".
6'2". Yeah. You got this bald head, beard. You got this deep voice. Like it's damn near Moses, right? I mean, a little scary, right? I wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley. Yeah. I would not want that, man. I hope I would get a text.
Hey, buddy, why don't you just come turn yourself in? And I was texting with the fugitive earlier. That I'm actually friends with his family, and he's on the run, and we were talking smack to each other. Like, before the holidays, I was all into it. I was like, I'm going to get you, motherfucker. And we were just like,
You're texting this guy.
I was texting this guy,
Does he have an iPhone? Can he track his iPhone?
What he had. He might have. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about that, because I'm friends with his wife.
Damn, did I just tell a secret?
Now my wife and I are friends with this guy's wife, and he's addicted to drugs, man, and that's his problem. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's kind of on the lam right now. And, I was having fun with it before the holidays, but then I got wrapped all up in this business transition I'm going through. And I was like, kind of lost interest in it. And he texted me this morning and was talking some trash, bringing up some stuff I texted, before the holidays when I was all riled
He's on
up.
the run and he's taunting.
Well, I was talking mad trash to him. And then, so he started being like, yeah, may the best man win. I was like, kind of getting a little riled up. And I was like, dude, I don't have time to mess with this kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, because what I'll do is I'll get the streets against them. Yeah, no, I'll turn the streets against them, because I've got connections with all the biggest heavy hitters on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because I handle, the biggest meth dealers. You know what I'm saying? Or crack cocaine dealers, or these different guys that run with these certain groups of people, whether it be gang related or whatever. I've helped these people out for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So I have confidential informants on the streets. And so just depending on who I'm looking for, I'll go to those people and let them know, hey, I need so-and-so, or things are about to start getting real messy, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, so y'all can go ahead and bring them to me, and we'll just handle this deal up. No big deal. Boom, boom, boom. Or I'm going to start hitting houses with law enforcement, and we're going to start taking people to jail, and that may be you or your friends or your family. So I'm just letting you know, bring me so-and-so. And so a lot of times they'll kind of brush me off.
So you leverage fear. You leverage a fear of consequence.
Yeah. I mean, because it's just fact. Like, bro, I'm going to be out here in your area, and I'm going to start, and this guy's affiliated to you and your people. So I'm going to start picking off your people, and maybe you know what I'm saying? I'm not threatening you, but I'm just saying I'm going to be coming out here, and we're going to be hitting these houses with law enforcement. If there's drugs or there's stolen cars and that kind of stuff, we're going to start taking people to jail. And they'll sometimes be like, oh, yeah. And, they'll kind of brush me off, and then we start smashing houses. And people start going to jail. And, like, real quick, these, people that are affiliated pretty
fascinating.
highly. They start calling, and they're like, like, one, they need to bond those people out of jail that just got arrested. And then two, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. You needed who again? I'm like, yeah, I need this person. And then... normally,
are they hoping for like a handout?
The streets will provide. Not particularly, because I already take care of those people. You know what I'm saying? But they kind of, it's like a fair weather friend or something. Like we're
scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah, but then sometimes they're kind of slow.
But you better get that spot on mine.
Yeah,
though, right?
yeah, because and I mean that's exactly like with this particular guy. I mean, the guys I was reaching out to, some of their close people started going to jail, and they got mad so I kind of figured the streets would end up bringing me back this fugitive, but. Some of these guys get lucky, and they somehow just kind of weave in and out. They leave right before we get there. They just somehow have this blind luck. And this guy happens to be one of them, and I just don't have time for him right now. I'll get geared back up and get riled back up. I need to kind of get through this new business transition I'm going through and this buyout. But
the business of being a bounty hunter.
Yeah, the business behind banging doors.
Now, I will say you were on a stakeout somewhere. What, a couple months ago, 3 months ago? Because I watch you on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I watch, and you were in some dump doing a stakeout with some guy. Like this place, like roach infested. You were doing a walkthrough.
We were in that apartment doing surveillance out of an apartment.
Yeah.
Because we'll go to the apartment management and get a key normally for that apartment where the fugitive's at. And then if we go in and they're not there, then a lot of times we'll ask for like an apartment, across from it, or literally sometimes you go up the stairs and like their door's over here, and we'll get the apartment right across, and we'll be in like that peephole for like 10 hours a day looking through the peephole. And so I like having an apartment normally across where we can just kind of sit with our lawn chairs with the blinds open, looking to see if they come. That looking through that fisheye for like 10 hours can kind of mess you up a little bit. So I normally tell my rookie guys to do that, but yeah, we'll do that, and then some of them are nasty. You know what I'm saying? Some of the hotels or apartments that we're in are pretty funky. Straight
up, is there a thrill literally when you've got to go hunt a man down? Is there like some inherent like I think of a bounty hunter, and I think of the movie Raising Arizona. Remember that with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
And they called Leonard Smalls, and he said it was Hell's Angel guy, just looked like he was just dripping testosterone, like just oozing from every pore. Looked like you could literally smell him through the TV. And he puts his boot up on the desk, and he goes, "My friends call me Lenny, but I ain't got no friends." Right? He just looked like hell on 2 feet. Right? Like the last guy you'd ever want to see walk up. But that's always the idea of like a bounty hunter, right? Or you think of like the old Western days, right? You know, hunting a man down. Bounty, $500 bounty or something like that.
Not a dude in a pink shirt that pulled up in an Infinity. I can still get dirty. I got my gear on the car, bro.
We got bougie bounty. That's what we got.
Cartier wristwatch.
That's okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my in-style boots.
That's the spoils of hunting men down, right?
It can be. Yeah.
But
there's big. There's times where I think we closed the case out, made like $9,000 or $10,000 on one guy.
Get your mic a little bit closer.
Yeah, we had like $9,000 or $10,000. Yeah, is that good? A little better. Yeah, we did. Some cases pay out big. You can make $10,000.
So explain me how the bail process works, and then why you actually end up hunting a person down, and then how you actually get paid.
Yeah, so
if like somebody's got like $1 million bond, right?
Well, yeah, you don't see those very often, right. But let's say $100,000 bond, you do occasionally see those. So $100,000 bond, we charge 10% to pick the person up, so $10,000.
So somebody gets arrested, whatever the crime is, the judge says $100,000 or $100,000 bond, right, to get out of jail. They don't pay $100,000. Granny's not leveraging their mortgage to get $100,000.
Yeah, depending on the state, every state and every county has its own laws. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some laws there is zero commercial bail. You do the bond at the jail. Your mom or dad would take the money to the jail, the 10%. 10% is kind of the average across the board. So. Okay. Excuse me. So the way like a bail bondsman works is we have an allotment of money that we write with here in each county. You have to be licensed in each individual county if you want to write bail in it here in the state of Texas. Was there 252 counties, or how many counties are there in the state? Do you know?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it's 250 something. I can't remember.
Jason, you can Google it.
Yeah, he's all getting his Google on. But anyways, you have to be in Texas. You have to be licensed in whatever county you do bail in.
Okay.
So, and you can write on property, or you can write with insurance. We had built our business writing on a lot of property, where we put up the cash, or we put up the property, like commercial real estate that we own, to write on. So let's say you put up a $50,000 CD in Montgomery County. That would give you $500,000 worth of bail to write on. So you get kind of a 10 times multiplier. Yeah, or so we put up a $100,000 piece of property, like a residential or commercial piece of property.
254.
Yeah, 254. I was 2 off. Let's say we put up a $100,000 piece of commercial property, that would give us 10 times $1 million worth of bail to write. So like if you came in with that $5,000 DWI or whatever, and your mom or your wife or whatever doesn't have the $5,000, then what we do is we'll put the money up after we interview you normally, or interview whoever's coming to co-sign, your mom or wife or dad or whoever's coming to get you out of jail. So we'll normally have an interview with one of the two. Either
who am I going to go to first when you try to skip?
Well, that's a good point. Well, a lot of times when I'm writing a bond, I mean, if I'm writing a bond, a lot of times I'm writing it as if that person's going to miss. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, not judging the person by male or female or ethnicity or whatever. Like, I'm kind of interviewing. I'm like, all right, can I find this person? I mean, have you been in Montgomery County 10 months or 10 years, or where'd you work? How long have you worked there? Where'd you work before? I mean, like, I'm kind of doing the whole interview process. So I wager that. I'm like, okay, well, cool. I'm good. You've been here 10 years and been at your job for 2 and been married for 5, and okay, cool. I'll put my $5,000 up and I charge you 10%, $500. That's what I would charge you to get out of. And a lot of times I can even do a payment plan on that. So like if your wife's like, man, I just paid the mortgage and the car note and the kids' private school. I mean, that's not the normal situation I'm running into. Yeah. But I'm like, cool, how much do you have? Well, cool, I got $200. Cool, bring me your 200. So that was the other thing too with a lot of this bail reform, not to go too far back, is that as bondsmen we've always offered these people, these indigent or these poor people, payment arrangements. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like like I went back and told you earlier, the jail's not full of $500 bonds. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because people, we're gonna make that work for that family member. Hey, bring us your $100. We'll get whoever, Billy Bob out, whatever the person's name is, Sally, whatever. So anyway, so on the bail side, so we do the bond. Your wife brings in the $500. We get you out of jail. You have court set for February 1st, and that's basically our job as a bondsman. You've hired us to basically keep you notified of court dates, make sure you're checking in weekly by phone. We're kind of adult babysitters, right?
Make sure you show up for court.
Yeah. So then you miss court on February 1st, and then that's where bounty hunting comes in. Not all bail bond companies have in-house bounty hunters. We do. Okay. I also have another business that runs warrants and does bounty hunting for other bail bond companies. So I do in-house warrants for my companies with my bounty hunt team, and then we have Texas Bounty and Investigations that does outside warrants for other companies in the state of Texas or nationwide or in Mexico. And so basically that's where that comes in. So February 1st, you miss, then that's when the file gets brought to me and my guys, and we start looking, okay, let's see. Okay, he works here. This is what he drives. I've got all these database, programs.
So what's the financial risk here when somebody doesn't show up for court? Are you gonna have to pay that $5,000?
Yes, that's a good question. The way that works in the state of Texas is we have 6 months on misdemeanors before we have to physically write a check for $5,000. So 180 days, 6 months on misdemeanors, 270 days, 9 months on felonies.
Okay.
So from that day you miss on February 1st, we've got till whatever, what would that be if we were doing a felony? That'd be November 1st, you know what I'm saying? Before we physically had to write a check for $5,000.
Okay.
So it's kind of monopoly money. I was telling you, we've got these pieces of property or CDs put up at the county. They take $5,000 off. We get you out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You miss court. Then if I don't find you in 9 months, then I have to physically write that check for $5,000.
Okay.
But if I arrest you within that 9-month period, then my $5,000 just goes back in the coffer there at the jail, and you go back to jail, and the case is done.
So then how as a bail bonds company do you actually make money?
So the 10% that I charge you, the $500 to get out.
Okay.
But I'm not making any money if you miss on February 1st and I have to go hire a bounty hunter, and then that's the fee a bounty hunter charges too, is 10%. So you kind of made $500, picked the bad person to write a bond on because you didn't interview them correctly, and then you had to pay, bounty hunter X $500 to pick the person up, but it's better than $5,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that system works.
So being an in-house, but then you're also contracted out to where you'll get 10% for if somebody doesn't have a bounty hunter in their bail bonds business. So they're going to pay you that 10%. I mean, can just anybody get into bail and then say, hey, I'll go hunt your guy down for 10%?
No, you have to be, we're licensed. You're a licensed private investigator in the state of Texas. That's how bounty hunting works. So in order to, I've got licensing under Department of Public Safety. So, so there's Texas Rangers, DPS, and then there's private security. So, which is a private, I'm a licensed private investigator in the state of Texas. That's what a bounty hunter is here. So that's how my licensing is. And there's FBI background check and all kinds of stuff that I have to do to be licensed with the state as a private investigator. Yeah, you just can't have too extensive of a criminal record.
That was my next question.
I did get in trouble. That's why I've been around bail and bounty for a long time, but I have only been legally licensed as a bounty hunter or private investigator for the last 12 years. Because I got in trouble in 1999.
Really?
I decided to go across the United States border and pick up some pharmaceuticals down in Mexico. Got jammed up coming back across the border. Yeah. Yeah, I told you, man. I was a full-blown, addict alcoholic, from, my freshman year in high school. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I put that stuff in my body, I was like, the best thing ever. You know what I'm saying? So that getting in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Those felony charges, by the grace of God, my mommy and daddy had money to hire me a proper attorney and fight my case to where I didn't become a convicted felon. I got to do a probation type deal called deferred adjudication, where I completed that and then it fell off my record. It looks as I was arrested for that but not convicted.
A lot of people do that, select that for their traffic ticket.
Yeah, deferred on your traffic ticket. I've done that too. I used to get 3 tickets a year. I would do a deferred, I would do defensive driving, and then I would fight the third one. That was in my wild days.
So how did you initially get introduced to hardcore drugs? You said you were in high school.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. By the time I was in high school,
just some homies hey, give this a shot.
Yeah, man. I just think that part of being an addict and alcoholic, I think that you just there's something. Whether you want to consider your environment or your genetics, there's something that I always kind of felt less than. I always felt different than other people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It was I think that's what kind of falls in the genetic part for me. And so, when I was introduced to drinking and drugs, it was like that missing piece. You know what I'm saying? It's I did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm good looking enough. I'm funny enough. I'm witty enough. The girls love me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, boo, 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 instantly. So I was like, of course. I was like, what's next?
It's hyper.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, dude, LSD is awesome. You know what I'm saying? What's ecstasy like? Well, let's go get some. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin. It just for me. You know what I'm saying? It went. By the time I left high school, I kind of covered the whole gamut. And the catalyst for me, even though I started getting into drinking and drugs my 8th grade summer, I always had trouble.
Wait, eighth grade?
Yeah. A little marijuana, a little alcohol. And it's funny because I've got a 7th grader now, and I'm like, dude, look at this kid. He's still holding my hand and stuff going to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? An awesome kid, likes to play violin and all that stuff. I'm like,
you must have
got that from his mom, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I always struggle with my academics, you know what I'm saying? And no pass, no play always kept me off of being an athlete, you know what I'm saying? Because I was an athlete first and foremost, but I would make the basketball team, and then that report card would come out, and I would fail math, and it would just happen to me over and over and over. So being an athlete, not being able to hang out with the athletes, all my friends, I just kind of went to the next little group of people, you know what I'm saying? And those were some people I like to party. And so I was like, well, I'm going to become good at this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I like to do. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it good. You know
100%.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm saying? And so that was just a cat. And then the next year would come, and I'd fail off of my sports, and the drugs graduate high school. My friends went to the universities. I went to the junior college, started hanging around different people. The addiction kept taking a farther step. Then I failed out of local, junior college, and dropped down another group of people and another group of people. And it just, when I finished up, when I was at my jumping off point, I was all by myself. I would go get drugs or alcohol and go back to my house and just lock myself away in the house. So what started off as this fun thing where I was entertaining and, putting the parties together in high school, and, the cool popular kid to, 10 years, 12 years later, I'm, shooting drugs in my arm, locked up in my house, 170 pounds. I'm 220 now. You know what I'm saying? I was 170 pounds when I sobered up, with big raccoon circles under my eyes and ghostly white and just dirty. You know what I'm saying? So, the full on, real
what
deal.
sobered you up? Because you said you were doing that run for about 10 years?
At least, yeah. I've been sober longer now than I used. So I used probably for like 14 years. So I sobered up August 25th of 04. It's my sobriety date. And I was just health problems. I was having health problems, and the criminal justice system was it was tightening in on me, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I'm going to go to prison, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm on that probation, and I can't stay sober to pass the UAs. I couldn't stay sober. I knew I had to go report to felony probation that next morning, and I'd do drugs all night. I'd be like coming to and be like in panic, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I, what happened? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, am I going to have to take a UA, a drug test? I mean, like, just tripping out, knowing I had to be there that next morning to do a drug test. Yeah. And I stayed up all night. And so, like, they were like, you're going to prison, you know what I'm saying? And, I had some other health issues from my drug use. And that was kind of like the point where I was like, okay, get sober or go to prison. I was like, I think I'm going to get sober. And that was for me, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
did your family know about this drug?
Yeah, I mean, I was the only child, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, it was very evident, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like my oldest son, sweet, loving, mama's boy. My mom raised me. Parents stayed married, still married, you know what I'm saying? Had a good life, never wanted for anything, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I came from the household where I was abused or sexually abused or poor or not the right color or any of that kind of stuff, right? I mean, I had 2 cars in high school, you know what I'm saying? I had the Z Cavaricis, the Jabodes, you know what I'm saying? All the cool clothes, you know what I'm saying? Ran with the cool hot chicks and had all the popular people, but like I just, fell off in the drug stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Your parents didn't deal with it?
I mean, so the answer,
had they had a drug history or
my
alcohol
dad
history?
Was always a heavy drinker. They talk about in AA, you have like, there's like 3 stages of drinker, was it like heavy? I can't think of the damn heavy alcoholic. There's 3 stages of it, but he was always very successful. You know what I'm saying? He liked to drink, you know what I'm saying? But like, he always, showed up, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's a generational deal or what it was. Moderate, heavy alcoholic. That's the 3 phases that 12 steps talk about. And I'm not there to judge anybody, whether, you're whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's for you to decide, you know what I'm saying? So with him, but that's where I think if the genetics came from. His mom, my dad, they were all big drinkers, and I think it was acceptable, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think they just quite knew what I was getting into or was going to get into. Yeah.
Did they confront you about it when they noticed it?
Yeah. They stepped in
but I've got it under control.
I mean, I think by the time they looked up, I was just, it was like, I think it was way past go by that point.
It's interesting. My wife's brother 2 nights ago died of a heart attack. 29, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, 39. He was an accomplished swimmer, like Junior Olympics kind of thing, right? Parents were both physicians, life of privilege, and just got wrapped up in the wrong scene and caught up, right? You know what I'm talking about. And you've always got it under control.
So you don't.
Been to therapy a few times, and he's got 3 kids. Right. And his ex-wife, the kid's mom, they divorced a few years ago, but she kept him, because it's that back and forth. I'm good now. It's this like manic phase, right? You kind of sober up a little bit. You got under control. You had an epiphany, and now I'm good, right? You got some things in your environment somewhat solidified. You got some control, right? Which is what that is. It's a control thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So taking the drug is a control. Like, this is on my terms. Like, I'm going to take this. Yes, it's a Band-Aid, but this is on my term.
Yeah.
Right? And my wife, bless her heart, she just couldn't handle it. She just like broke off communication with him. My wife's dad is the one that really kept trying to help him in the best way he knew how. But, it's really difficult when you're a family trying to help your child. And it was a friend that found him, blue, right? Had a cardiac arrest. Not sure. Yeah. Don't know. He'd gone to the ER the night before, apparently. But whatever, was like, you're fine. And then
I'm gonna slip out this jacket, bro.
Yeah. And it's sobering, you know. When you, as a family, you do all you can, and which is the tragic end to a lot of these stories, unfortunately, you know. And I mean, you see like the show Intervention, when people are like, you know, the family's just done. Yeah. You know, and it's like either, you know, you go get help or we're out.
You have to be. You know what I'm saying?
Which is kind of where my wife was. Yeah. Right. I was kind of that way with my mom, being manic depressive, bipolar, violently abusive, just crazy, tumultuous life. In my mom's history, alcoholism, depression, suicide. Mm-hmm. And I remember I lived in fear a lot because I kept waiting for like something in life to be that trigger that would either put me into that situation I'd end up in, you know, using alcohol or drug, smoking, all that shit scared me. I was a cyclist from the age of like 12. So anything like that scared the shit out of me. Right. Of course, I wasn't around people that, you know, were drug users or anything, but alcohol was a thing. Yeah. My parents didn't have it in the house, but I'd been to parties in high school, you know, drinking Everclear and, you know, but, you know,
had my car get home.
That did happen. Like, I do not know how I got home, but my mom knew I was drunk and waking me up with a vacuum cleaner, right? Like, dear God, shut the world off. Right. But I had to watch my mom just being so manic and just the back and forth growing up. I just was like, I'm done. Like I told my dad, I'm like, this your wife, you got to deal with it. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Like you're not my responsibility. Yeah. Right. And at the same time, it's like, it's my mom. And then, you know, like my wife, you know, having to just cut off from her brother and, you know, it's killing her right now. Yeah. I mean, nobody in the family is, on one hand, it's a relief because he struggled so long back and forth, and it's just, you know, just this hard thing. Don't mean to make this about my situation, but it's
how it rolls. That's how the combo goes.
It's like the tragic end that you came to a point where you were able to at least make a decision to go, I got to stop this for whatever repercussion was you were in fear of, but it was like I can't keep going down this road, right? Yeah.
I mean, for me, yeah. I mean, this is my fourth time to get sober, you know. So I mean, I originally sobered up in 2001, January of 2001, and then, you know, I went out and it just, you know, they talk about, you know, it gets worse every time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, how much worse could it get? I mean, I was a Skeletor, you know, bag of bones. You know what I'm saying? IV drug user. You know, how much lower could it go? And they got every time I went out, I would like crash through that bottom.
What made it stick for you?
I mean, like for me, you know, I'd met my now wife when I was out on one of my relapses. You know what I'm saying? I'd been doing good. I was 18 months sober, and I remember I was like, you know, the car and the job, and like I was like, man, I just need this girl. You know what I'm saying? I need just to complete me, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm
she's a hoss, by the way. Like,
yeah, Suzette's she's a.
You don't want to mess with her in a dark alley either, man.
Yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. And so, like, I was like, yeah, I got all this to offer somebody else now, you know, because I loved myself again, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, that, of course, you know, for me, I was like, well, how do you meet girls? Sober, you know? I just didn't know. I hadn't ran, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
I don't know this formula.
Go start drinking again, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, right out the door. And, of course, for me, it was never about drinking, you know? It wasn't ever about smoking weed, which I told myself when I was like, I'm just going to smoke a little pot, you know? I'm not on probation no more. I'm just having a couple of drinks like the old man after work. And then I'd just be like, gone on drugs within days.
It's a slippery slope of justification. Right?
Yeah. So when in between that third and fourth time, I met Suzette, and when I decided to start partaking, when she figured out who I was, when I kind of took the mask off, I was like, hey, I'm really a recovering addict and alcoholic. And she's like, oh my God, but I love you. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, I was like, I'm just going to do a little of this. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. And she was like, see you later. And she left. You know what I'm saying? And I just jumped off the cliffside, and you know, that was back when the texting was the T9, the 111155557. You know, you'd have to press all the buttons to send a text. You know what I'm saying?
Kids don't realize texting was effort then.
It's like 3333445. You know, we were trying to send out a text message T9, and
I just sent boobs.
Yeah,
you know, that was as creative as I would get.
Yeah,
BOOD. S.
So I'm texting and calling and emailing, and she's never responding. So, you know, my birthday, of 04, August 14th of 04, I was whooping it up in Austin, drinking and drugging and all that with a bunch of people. And she texted me and was like, "Hey, life's a choice, Elliott." And she said a couple other things, but I just remember that one part. I remember being like, damn, like I hadn't heard from her in 7 months, like at all. You know what I'm saying? And I was seeing other people. I'm sure she was too. And I say seeing other people, you know, that lifestyle. But I called her on the way home from Austin. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, things are great. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing so good." And like, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Just that skin and bones and just, you know, looking terrible. And like, my life is completely falling apart. And she's like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Houston for work." And that was kind of the segue. So I was like, "Oh, you know, here's my chance." You know what I'm saying? So that kind of got me back on track initially until I wanted to do it for myself. You know, without getting into the whole story.
Right.
Like, that's kind of, she came to Houston and then saw me and was like, "Whoa," you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "I'm doing good." You know, I'm like, once again, 170 pounds, you know, bag of bones. And you know, she's kind of like, "Oh," you know, because she was successful, you know, college graduate, you know, working for, you know, Fortune 500 company, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, she's like, you know, sometimes I don't know how I ended up with her, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, that was her little project, her little puppy she brought home. "Mom, can I keep it?" You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so, you know, that was kind of the catalyst. And, you know, I got sober and, you know, we got married and had kids and, you know, and that kind of, you know, we did, I guess, what everybody in America, you know, how you do it, you know, you graduate high school and go to college and get married and have kids and retire from your job and play with grandkids, and then you die. We're trying to rewrite that now. You know what I'm saying? All these, yeah. I mean, everybody, that's what we do, right? I mean, it's just like, you know, so. That
was kind of the baby boomer generation before that. Yeah. Right? But the boomers were really that, you know, post-war, let me find a stable job that because, you know, coming from the trauma of, you know, wartime and Ruby Riveter and, you know, fighting on the front lines or losing siblings, or now you're coming at it going, I want to enjoy my freedom and I want to find a good job, stable job, something that's consistent, that I can live the American dream and buy the house and have the kids and retire. And then what?
Well,
then the 60s.
Well, then our parents were born, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, here we came in the
Woodstock.
70s, you know, of course, that was the deal with, you know, Suzette and I. My parents were at Woodstock. Her parents were at the Republican convention. So like when we came together, it was like, whoa. But like, but you know what I'm saying? It was like, you know, so they modeled that, you know what I'm saying? And our parents modeled that. And then we, you know, so I think we're trying to, you know, change that up a little bit. Not that it's like necessarily bad, but like, why not ask why? You know what I'm saying? And question some things. And
we're in a strange era, you know.
Awakening. It's awakening, bro, right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, well, I partly thank the internet, social media for the ability to create side hustles, create a business for yourself that, you know, pre-social media, to get a side job, you had to go pick up a night shift or pick up a side job. You had to, you know, you can do a lot of this stuff from home, right? Scale a business, scale an idea, sell a shirt that you don't even make, you don't even touch, sell 1 million of them, right? Like there's so many different avenues. I almost
bought a $30 one of those on Instagram last night. I was like, ooh.
Dude, that's how they
sacred
get you.
geometry. I was like, I like that. And I was like, just about to click. I was like, dude, by the time I get this mailed, it's like $40 for a t-shirt. What?
Yeah. I've been seeing these really nice fancy watches for like $39, but they're marked down for $500.
But that's the deal, right? Yeah. And I mean, like you can have 2 or 3 or 4 of those, and I mean, all these different, you know, flows of income. Your 9 to 5, and
you know, people shit on millennials, but I will say they are some of the most hardest working people, as long as it's self-serving. I'll say that, right? I mean, they are masters of social media. They are masters of creating content that get people's attention. I mean, they are smart, and they're not afraid to work. Just not in the traditional sense, right? To properly corral and direct like cattle, if you will, like, you know, if you're what do you call them? A ranch hand. Trying to think of that show Yellowstone. What do you call the guys?
Oh, dude, that is such a cool show.
Oh my God,
we're gonna take him to the railroad station.
Oh man,
I'm like, yes,
dude, I love that show. Oh my God, what is the guy's name? Rand.
I'm terrible with everything about movies and TV shows, but that is one I love.
Yeah.
You know, actors and actresses and all that. I'm like,
but to be able to, because they want a job with purpose, right? But as long as that purpose is somewhat self-serving, or they feel like they're actually doing good, man, they're in it, right? But they're doing 5 other things at the same time, right?
Yeah.
One of our influencers for Balanced Foods, I was FaceTiming her one day talking about some things, and she goes, "Let me just show you what my day looks like." Full-time influencer, right? Which for a lot of people, it's just that we're just, there's a disconnect with like the boomers and the Gen Xers of like the 9 to 5, right? But she turned on this grease board. It was a 4x8 full of all the pieces of content she had to create that day for all of the business partnerships. That her husband, who owns another company, ammunition company, actually makes a handgun, 22 Magnum that fits in an Altoid 10, by the way. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's a whole other discussion. But she goes, "This is what I do every day." Now she makes a living, a pretty good living from it. Yeah. Right. But it's a job for her. Yeah. But she said one day, she goes, "But honestly, when it's not my job, I don't even want to see myself in the mirror, because I'm so tired of selfies and selfie videos and the editing and all that." She goes, I get sick of myself. Right. Yeah. But but she works 7 days a week. Yeah. Creating content but if you take that energy. So we're in this place where now, like for, Gen Xers, right? Gen Y coming in. It's having the ability to keep our energies and our focus on things that give us a result, right? Yeah. That we don't have to necessarily leave home, because Suzette, she owns a dog training business. Yeah. Right.
Come and train at K9.
Yeah. And which, how long have you guys had that?
3 years.
3 years? Yeah. And that's, of course, I'm sure COVID hasn't helped.
I mean, dude, she's recreated herself in the business, in this space. I mean, like, you can either sit back and be like, "When's my next stimulus coming?" Or you better get creative, right? If you're a business owner, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's something that, I mean,
but social created an opportunity to be able to scale
I mean,
attention.
her Instagram, I mean, the Facebook that they have, YouTube, I mean, all the coaches that she follows, how she found, you and her linked up, you know what I'm saying, through Arte, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, like, just like, I mean, social media is, I mean, golly, dude. And like her presence on that, and how she promotes herself, and, getting photos done, and, I mean, the business, man, I mean, like, I've been super happy to watch her, you know what I'm saying, and what she's done with the dog business in this climate, you know what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, in the dog business, not to shift too hard on you there, I mean, when you're now working remotely and you're with your dog 7 days a week, and you're like, "Holy shit, this dog's terrible." You know what I'm saying? Where before, you'd throw Fifi in the kennel at 9 in the morning, and you'd head to work till 5 and come home and let the dog out, and it's and you take it on a walk out of your apartment, you know what I'm saying? You're like, this dog's crazy. It's just been in its kennel all day, whatever. Well, now you're home 7 days a week, and you're like, this dog's an asshole all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just like when I let it out of the kennel after being in there for 8 hours. Yeah. And so like, we found that space to be able to, sell some, $2,500 dog training, $3,000 dog training, even in COVID, you know what I'm saying? Wow. Because, I mean, we're one of the more expensive dog training companies in the city of Houston. But we provide a great service, and I mean, just the reviews we have and the comments, and I mean, like, we have just a cult following of clients that are, because every once in a while you'll get a client that you didn't meet their expectations, and they'll kind of throw something.
Always that one social. Karen.
Yeah. And then it's like,
this is the age of Karens, by the way.
Yeah, we'll respond, of course, because that's what you're supposed to do, quickly. But then all of our followers will be like, "Oh yeah," they'll dog pile them, So it's like, "Oh, cool,"
We with Tune Up, it's Karen. Funny. We'll see the reviews, and guys will complain about a bad haircut, and man, customers like flood. Yeah. Like you didn't ask for them to redo it. Like they defend, like you create this base of loyal fans to your brand. Yeah. Right. And even, even in the comment, one of the more expensive ones, there was a market for every price point. Yeah. As long as your price point is backed by value.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it not necessarily too that your training is that much smarter than the next guy, where the up and comers, I was a photographer. They were like, "Well, I just can't afford that." Okay, well, go to a guy that you can.
Yeah, I got a suggestion for you. Try this guy.
I just know my time. I know what I've done, and I'm gonna be $3,000 for the day. So, gosh, that's a lot. Well, yeah, it is. But a lot of people pay it. So, here's a couple of names for you.
Yeah.
You know, these guys are probably better than I am, and they're on the cheap. So get them right now while they're young. You know what I mean? Before they get too expensive, right? But there's always but there are some. I mean, look, when you broke, you'll find a way to buy those new AJs.
Yeah.
Because there's a value in that for you, right? Whether it's status, image, association, braggability, ego, whatever. But when there's something you want, you'll find a way to get it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, that's what always kind of comes into my, like we talked earlier about my limiting beliefs around money, you know what I'm saying? And some of the different things, you know, like if I want some AJs or I want to buy a new, you know, Can-Am side by side, like I'm going to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to put X, Y, and Z together and make this happen and make room in my monthly bills to tack this on here or whatever it may be. But then when it comes, like we were talking about opening, you know, different businesses and different ideas and things like that, I sometimes find myself getting capped. You know what I'm saying? But there's no limiting belief behind wanting that new $5,000 gun. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'll figure that out. But some of these different business ventures that we were kind of talking about earlier that have kind of come across my plate in 2020 that, you know, I sometimes wonder, you know, that was kind of, you know, like when you talked about that, because that makes sense to me. My wife's always like, I can't figure out why you can make that happen. But sometimes when we're looking to break through to that next level, she's not coming at me in a negative way. Yeah. But, you know.
She's one of the most positive people I've ever seen, by the way.
I mean, she's, you know, I mean, yeah. I mean, she is, dude, but I'm married to her. Yeah.
She's probably going to be watching this.
Yeah, she's firm, you know what I'm saying? Like, for sure, bro. I mean, like, yeah, you're going to, there's only two Suzettes that are going to show up, and there's that one, and then there's the other one that's like, you know.
Look, I'm married to a Sicilian. I get it, right?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I mean, I love business, you know what I'm saying? And that's why one of the things when kind of came at me and we're talking about doing this and sitting down and kind of the people you're running with. And even when we talked months ago, I think, you know, like you were talking about those 5 people that you're surrounding yourself with. And I've just been looking to position myself, you know, around guys that are, you know, doing what I want to do, you know what I'm saying, in the future, you know what I'm saying? Financially, you know. So.
We really overlook our surroundings. You know, we so easily use them as a crutch. Right? We use them as an excuse. We use them as a way to not move out of it, right? We were talking about socioeconomic upbringings. And, you know, I grew up, man, my parents were, when I was little, middle class. When I was high school, broke. Like water to the pot of beans, eating cornbread, tortillas. But, you know, at that age in high school, I had my bike and my drum set. Everything else, I didn't really notice.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that hardship my parents went through other than that one winter. I think I was sophomore in high school. My dad was working 3 jobs. My mom was basically a vegetative state through her manic ups and downs and weaning herself off of medications, you know, 'cause she was healed. I
feel great.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop taking that.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And of course, my mom was volatile. Like, you know, her and dad would get into arguments and dishes would fly, right? That kind of shit. And, you know, if something was in reach, she'd just grab it and whip me with it, beat me with it, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what mom was showing up either.
Yeah.
Every day, right? Was it going to be mom that was going to attack me or the mom that actually was kind of nice? But that niceness was very few and far between. You know, love her.
Yeah.
May she rest in peace, but it just... She was hard to have as a mom, but through that, I remember wondering for myself, you know, emotional reactions to somebody coming at you like that is you're going to want at least posture mano, right? You at least want to show, hey, you know, so you're going to have that almost kind of like matched response, right? That you can't overtake me. And I remember, I think I was 13, 14. My mom was like 4'10". I think at that time I was maybe 5'5". I'm a good 5'8" on a good day.
Solid.
But she was going to try to give me swats with a belt or a paddle or something, whatever was in reach. And she was going off yelling at me, and she told me to bend over, and I grabbed her wrist, and I said, "Don't you effing touch me." And all of a sudden she got scared. Like all of a sudden she realized she did not have power over me anymore. And of course, then she cried to dad, and I, you know, tried to attack her and all this BS that, you know, being a victimization does, right?
Yeah.
Then you manipulate in that way. But I wondered, often I think I have the same temper as my mom. which scared the shit out of me because I never wanted to have kids and be made to feel the way that she made me feel. Yeah. Right. But I lived in fear for a long time because she had two big triggers in life. One, when my grandparents split, she was 16. She ended up in a mental hospital for like 6 months. And this was in the 60s when, they were
drilling holes in the side of your head. And
weird shit, that was therapy. Yeah. And then, then she got on the other manic side with the pendulum and she was hyper focused and workaholic and, house was immaculate 24/7 and, just driven. Like when she left one job, they had to get 5 people to replace her, like to do her job, like crazy. Yeah. Right. And then dad was a pastor and then worked on a freight dock at night. Right. So I grew up in this very strange childhood, but mom was manic and crazy with me when dad was never there. So he never saw it. And I grew up just angry, but also in fear that I was going to be like my mom. And I kept waiting for a trigger event in my life to get me to go down that spiral of being manic and ending up like my mom. So I lived in fear for a long time. Cycling was my control mechanism. It was my escape, right? Because I could get on the bike and I could ride as far or fast as I wanted to. And I did. Mom never knew how far I would go away from that house. If she did, she would have taken that bike from me, sawed it in half.
50 miles.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But again, it was, instead of drugs, that was it for me, right? Healthy outlet, mind you, but still it was my escape. And it was my first marriage, my first wife left, and then 30 days later, I got laid off from my really great job of being an engineer for a cell phone company. And my life, the rug just got yanked, right? And I was like, high ego, like, look what I've created, down to, oh, shit, what am I going to do? And when I was a sophomore in high school, my parents couldn't afford to pay some of the bills. They turned our gas off, so we didn't have hot water. I got 2 ear infections. I remember this. And I just remember going, is life ever going to be better than this? I lived in Marshall, Texas, little bitty tiny town, right? Oh, yeah. You're either white collar or you're working for that white collar, right? And life just kind of went sideways. Things weren't working out. And I just kept coming to this place going, this is not the life I want. But there has to be something more, right? But I lived in fear. So I kept operating from a position of defense, which was limiting because we don't think clearly on the defense. We're short term. We want to mitigate pain to get rid of it right now. We're not thinking long term, right? Which is drugs, alcohol, whatever addiction. It's a short term. Some call it a Band-Aid, right? And my uncle, I think it was at the holidays, and I was kind of he goes, man, I don't know how you've ended up so positive, so great through all this stuff in your life. And I'm thinking, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I told him, I said, I'm honestly afraid I'm going to be like my mom. And I'd come through a lot, right? At that age, 26, 27. And he said, honestly, MD, if you had those tendencies, it would have already have happened. That was my moment. Because I realized, wow, I've been living in such fear for so long. I wasn't realizing what I was coming through. I didn't realize what I was actually capable of in lieu of all the things, all the struggles, all the pains, all the hurts, all the abuse, all of that. Had I had those tendencies, they would have already have surfaced.
Yeah.
I need to quit worrying about what I think is there and focus on who I actually am as a result of it. That's when it changed for me.
Yeah.
Not completely. I didn't have my true epiphany until, I'm like 47 now, late 30s, right? When it kind of hit, my patterns in my life, outcomes were based on my decisions. I was the common thread. Yeah. Right?
I decide, baby.
Yeah. And that, for you, like you're facing people every day trying to get them back on track. And I've seen how you are with the guys that you pick up, right? You're very, almost therapeutic with them. Almost like let's bro out before you have to go back in.
Respect you, man. You respect me, I respect you.
Now, you have an interesting association with Dog the Bounty Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we all know him from his TV show and how him and Beth were with kind of having a consult, getting him a burger, having a cigarette, having a little, heart to heart, right? After the chase of when like he's cussing people out, like I'm going to find this MFer, and like the hunt, when the hunt's over,
it's over.
Now it's the human part of like this massive level of compassion. Yeah. And you really operate with that too.
Yeah. I had never modeled that. I'd never watched Dog the Bounty Hunter. Like that to me was always kind of like, that's not how it is, blah, blah, blah. But I'd always, that's how it was with my clients too. When they missed court, what I'm saying? It was game on. And then when I found them, like it wasn't like I always tell people like I won, what I'm saying? But like, it was over, what I'm saying? Like whether it was 1 day, 1 week, 6 months, whatever, whenever I got them, it's done, what I'm saying? And if you're cool, we're going to get your shoes, hug the kid, kiss the wife, have a cigarette. You're going to come out, you're going to be cuffed immediately behind your back until everything's assessed. But if everything's good and you've been respectful and everybody's respectful around the house and my team's safe, then we might bring the cuffs around front, let you kind of have a smoke and lace your shoes up and we'll head on out. But I mean, it's always about safety. But yeah, I mean, I did all Dog and Beth's 3rd season of their show, Dog and Beth on the Hunt. I filmed their whole show with them in Texas. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Third season of Dog and Beth on the Hunt. So there was Dog the Bounty Hunter, and then with A&E, and he lost that contract, and then he went over to CMT and had Dog and Beth on the Hunt. So I did that last season. It was the last seasons of their show, but then when Beth got sick with cancer, I can't remember who picked up like one season, and I think I might have picked back up with them again for a 2nd season or whatever they're doing since Beth passed. But I'm still friends with Leland, Dog's son, and we're good buddies. He's probably gonna come out and do the grand opening for my new bond office in Montgomery County. And
So it makes me.
I did rise that top in that area. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I've kind of gone to the pinnacle in that arena. I guess being on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah. Which you say that, and now. Can we even talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. We can't talk about really, we're doing a bounty hunting TV show currently that's been it's been filmed in 4 big metropolitan cities here in the United States, and we're gonna do a 44. This may be the interview before the big time. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna sit down.
I'm just saying. I mean, like the team I put together.
No cups involved, but
the team that we've cast. And the crew that I've got that's editing the film, and I'll be doing the host portion of the show. And I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of good vibes behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like that, my business partner is a big time cameraman on like Deadliest Catch, Ice Road Truckers, Live PD.
How'd you make that association?
We went to high school together.
Get out.
Yeah, so that's why when we formed our LLC, it's called 25 Years Later Productions, because 25 years later we're like, we
love that.
Up. Yeah,
it's like $7, right?
It's really
that kind of story.
It's really and then One Flight Up Productions is our other company that we formed at the beginning of 2020 when we raised the capital to do the show. And like I said, I'm always kind of cooking. I think that's what my deal is right now, is focusing on Bail Bounty, the TV show, kind of focusing on my set of tools. You know what I'm saying? I think I've been trying to put my hand out here and corporate COVID testing and PPE products, and I think I need to really blow up what I do best. And then
we've been kind of in survival mode, right?
I guess. I mean, like, I've done good. I've made good money.
Like hustle and eliminate on the corner. Like you're just trying to.
Dude, that's funny. I mean, when I was a kid, I was born to do sales. You know what I'm saying? Like I sold golf balls in our subdivision growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I would go get in the ponds and I would get golf balls off the bottom of the pond, and I'd take them home and clean them up. And I had my wagon. I'd park it on the main drag before you got to the golf course. I had all my golf balls in there. So on Saturday and Sunday, I'd be out there selling golf balls and little kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've always, you know what I'm saying? I'd be selling fireballs at school, you know what I'm saying? Like we'd go get the big thing from Sam's. I'd be doing the two for $25. Yeah. And, then I became good at selling drugs later on, but you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I've always had that sales, that business kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? So I think this show idea, we've been showing it to some different people, and they're super excited about what we have and the concept that we have, because it's different than any of these other, some of these bounty hunters on YouTube and, Dog the Bounty Hunters kind of deal. It's a different style. So,
I've always believed in marketing to be the most effective. You have to market like a drug dealer and sell like a stripper.
Hey,
I mean, really, when you think about marketing as a business, in social change, guerrilla marketing, right? Opportunities, right? There's no gatekeeper. You can scale attention globally in the matter of 24 hours, right? Use the right hashtag, have the right association, you're off the charts. Yeah. But then you got to maintain it, right? I think we see on Shark Tank, we had this one post and went viral, and then they're like, okay, but then what? Yeah. Right? How do you maintain that momentum? But you know firsthand, as a dealer, you don't want somebody coming out of your territory. You're not going to let somebody come and sell to your customer base. Yeah. But there's this loss of intensity in marketing where you just think, I'm just going to get a piece of my pie. No, I want to own that pie. Yeah. I want the bakery, right? Yeah. And then I want the suppliers. Yeah. And then when you sell, look, in the strip club, most guys, I mean, come on, let's all, a couple times. Yeah. They work. They want more money. So what do? They build a relationship. They appeal to you. They listen. It's fake because they just want to make a couple of hondos for the night.
A couple blues.
But they're all about upsell. All about the upsell. But they do it in a way that you just want to give them your entire wallet. Right? And then you got to go home and look at how many ATM receipts that came because the ATM's in the front lobby. You know what I mean? But when you look at marketing and sales in that respect, it changes the whole level of intensity and focus. Right? So with you now with social media, because you're now breaking off because you've had your one bail bonds place in downtown Houston, you're now breaking away from the bail bonds you've had up here in Montgomery County that's with some family. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, one family member and their business partner, yeah.
So now starting your own individual siloed business. Yeah. How's that going? Because family dynamic is rough, man.
It's bad, man, because, the business partner is my dad. You know what I'm saying? And it's, my dad's always been an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? And that's been like, it's just, it's sad. One that, I was told for years to kind of stay in my lane. That's all going to be yours one day. You know what I'm saying? And kind of fast forward when that time came.
Did he do bounty too?
No, just bail side. You know what I'm saying? He's done some pickups, but when it come time, I kind of approached him like, hey, the other business partner, here's his package. I got it all boxed up. Here's what we're going to do. And he was kind of like, I think I'm going to go with him as my partner. And I was like, literally my world just like shattered, you know what I'm saying? Because that's my dad, you know what I'm saying? Like 18 years of being like, just stay in your lane.
Why do you do that?
Don't go up or down dude, I think, my hands aren't the cleanest in the partnership, you know what I'm saying? I have dirt on my hands just like everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And and on the front side of that partnership in 18 years, I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Which kind of set a bad setup for my business partner that I'm kind of equally yoked with in the company because he was working hard and I was just kind of showing up twice a week.
The one that I met?
Patrick, was his name, Okay. So there were a couple years on the front side and then I put a good solid 10 plus in the middle. Yeah. And then this last 3 years or so, I've been focused on other businesses. You know what I'm saying? I've been working half, you know what I'm saying? Like put in my 10, 20 hours, at bail, and I'm doing dogs and I'm, trying to sell, ammunition deals and, you know what I'm saying?
It's a good time for that.
Yeah, nitrile gloves and I'm like getting all these different commodities. And so like these guys, my old man and my business partner are like, well, this dude's not serious, you know what I'm saying? Even though like I've gone into some of these discussions with just like my mane just like shining and I'm chest puffed out like I've just built this whole company, but I've been right sized, you know what I'm saying, in the last couple of meetings with my wife sitting there, you know what I'm saying? Like leaving that meeting and her kind of lacing me up a little bit like, well, you did do this, and this, and that, and kind of gave me the full picture of my place, too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not shining in this deal. But anyway, so I think that, sometimes I've just been held in that, even though I've been sober for all these years, I think that maybe my old man just doesn't know, you know what I'm saying? If I'm coming or going, or if I'm going to be on to the next shiny business opportunity or what it is. So I think he feels comfortable with the other partner. You know that hurts, bro. It's sad because I'm trying to form TWC IDs and EINs and get with the CPA about, hey, should I do an S corp or an LLC? And I'm like, oh my gosh, a management company over that. And I'm like, I just didn't focus on any of that in this last deal. Relate. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, you know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't, we all had our roles, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Bail Management Incorporated, you know what I'm saying? And I kind of did, the face of the company and chased bad guys and did the money and stuff. And these guys all did their thing. But so now I'm like, I don't need you. I'm out of here. Buy me out, And then I'm like, I get over here and I'm like, holy shit. These guys were doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm kind of having this birth by fire over here, learning how to structure this company that I'm trying to start. And I don't have my dad there. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, hey, Dad, what do you do in this situation? Because we're like competitors now. You know what I'm saying? We're going to compete in the same market. So it's kind of tough, bro.
Because you guys have been at this together for, 18 years, you said?
I mean, yeah, I've been involved with the company for 18 years, yeah.
I mean, have you guys always been able to keep work and family separate?
We haven't. And that was kind of how I approached him when I wanted to go out on my own.
Was he hurt that you wanted to go out on your own?
I think so. I think so. I mean, I've heard people a couple of different views of what people think's going on, but I mean, I sat down with him. I was like, "Hey, here's the deal." I was like, "When I leave this conversation, I'm gonna have one of two things. I'm gonna have my dad, or I'm gonna have a business partner." And that kind of framed it up to where it was like, I don't know what he's, I'd rather have you as a business partner, son. Sorry, But to me, I was like, I'd rather this next 5, 10, 20 years, however long you live, you're 68, 69 years old. I mean, I'd rather have my old man. You know what I'm saying? I've been your business partner. I've been working for you in some type of capacity for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but yet he's still staying in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still in bail. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be opening an office in his county. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm trying to position myself where I'm selling my shares of the company back to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get top dollar. You know what I'm saying? But my old man's like, hey, I'm 70, bro. Like I need to live. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of my income. I'm like, well, it's just tough. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going back and forth. And then, like I told you, I'm doing, silly shit, where I'm changing names on social media and taking people off as admin. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll make all these great strides and think I'm doing so good, and then I'll do some this dumb shit. Whatever, dude. I'm human, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm laughing about it today, having a good time, but last night it was pretty sore. When he was like, hey, what's up, dude? I'm not the admin on our social media anymore. And I was like, oh, well. Well,
I believe you.
I took you off, by the way. I created it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was just like.
I mean, let's be real. That's a machismo move of control.
Yeah.
In one area of life that we can't control, that's where I've seen a lot of people that go through divorce or they lose a job, they go into fitness.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing they can control, right?
Yeah,
and they get a tangible result from it, right? They can focus, they do this, they get this. Right? When some things are going on and some things are brewing inside, I'm going to go do this because I know it's going to show I still have power, but then you're also controlling the emotional response from the other party.
Yeah.
Whereas you feel like they're doing that to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a volley on the tennis court of emotion.
And I could have played it. I could have, just went all in and, took this move and just went powerhouse, but that's not my style.
I mean, you could have blocked him.
Huh?
You could have just blocked him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just could have just not done it because after we had the initial meeting about that, me and Suzette got in the car and we're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. We're not going to move into this new business by doing some shady shit. But then, Saturday, Sunday went by. I got to work on Monday and I was like, hey, just go ahead. Let's make just a little move to see if they notice. Well, the employee I told that just went all in. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I got the call that night, I was like, yeah, I figured somebody would probably realized they weren't admin anymore, but they had changed so much on this. So I was just like, oh man.
It's like my neighbors when they got foreclosed on years ago during the crash of 2009. They got it was this family, sweet family. And I thought they were moving in or moving something in. I didn't realize they were moving out overnight. And the door was left open. There was a 2x4 through the wall of the foyer. And I'm like, that was their last act of, oh yeah, F you.
Yeah.
I'm going to damage this a little bit before I'm out. Right. Just kind of that last, you don't have me kind of thing. You know what I mean?
It doesn't really, for me, it's not fulfilling. You know what I'm saying?
It never is for anybody.
It's always, just like you slam it through the sheetrock and you're like, yeah. Then you get in the moving truck and you're like, damn, that was stupid. Because MD, my neighbor for the last 10 years, will see that shit and really think I'm a piece of shit.
It's like that meme, which I love. And it's the old school's like, F the shit, I'm out of here. Oh, wait a minute, I need that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I love the internet.
I mean, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? I think it's about, not bringing yesterday into today, though,
Or else you're just going to recycle the experience.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I were chatting about it, man. I mean, I decide, right? You know what I'm saying? What am I going to do today? But, you'd think a lot of times if I am a conscious creator of my day and I have control of that, I sometimes wonder why I don't just always create awesomeness. You know what I'm saying? Why I got to wake up those 96% of the time, and it's like, Groundhog Day, on just replay. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, not necessarily pleasurable things. You know what I'm saying? About myself or what I can do.
We have put some what we thought were trick plays in the playbook of life.
Yeah.
Based on previous experience.
Yeah.
But I think we have to let go of, it's like I told you, life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us, right? Mm-hmm. I've heard Ed Milet say that. I've heard a lot of people say that. Whoever originated that, I don't know. But smart, right? It kind of helps you refocus the priority of how things are, where they are. Jocko Willink wrote the book Extreme Ownership.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Navy SEAL, right? You talk about... for me, everything within my sphere, I own, whether good or bad, because that also is the most empowering thing. Because yes, I've allowed myself to choose to be a victim of my circumstance and my environment and all these things that happen to me, but I'm always on the defense, which I'm not my best self. Okay. So then I need to go and look at what can I control? Because my wife, love her. How she believes in me, have no idea. Third marriage. Right. And dude, I'm married way out of my league, right? But I was the common thread through all of my relationships. And after my second wife, who the mom of my two oldest kids, you go through the blame and, well, she did this and she did that. But, look, a good marriage does not end in divorce, right? And so I had to go, all these things I didn't like, but what did I do to enable this? Like I went through about a 2-3 year stint of just going, man, I am the common thread in this, man. I'm making the wrong decisions. Why am I making these decisions? I had to start peeling these layers back, going back to my childhood, because the age of 9 to 16 is that's where the forms are being laid for your foundation, right?
Yeah, from 0 to 7. I mean, is the big formative stuff.
And
they say,
yeah. Childhood.
Yeah.
Based on environment, conditions, expectations, love, all that hurt, all that. And I wasn't owning the things that I had done, because we never want to think of ourselves in a bad light. Never do. We want to avoid that because that requires work to change, right? When I finally just took ownership of it and I went, I did a lot of things wrong and I don't want to end up in this place again. I do want to be in a fulfilling marriage, but I need to fix some things first, right? Whoring around isn't going to fix it. Drugs, alcohol, all this, going to the gym is not going to fix it. What is going to fix it is me fixing myself.
Yeah.
I need to look at my habits. I need to look at my tendencies. What's rooted from my childhood that I'm thinking made me who I am? No, it gave me tools to either use or throw away. Yeah. That's not useful for me. Get rid of that. This is how I was treated. Okay, well, that's screwed up. Yeah, that sucks. But okay, so how do I act as a result of it? Do I say, well, that's just who I am? Well, my dad beat my mom, so I just beat the people I'm with. No, you can change that trajectory.
You can, yeah.
My mom was violent with me. Doesn't mean I have to be violent with my kids, right?
Right.
But
90+% of society doesn't change,
and
if not 98% of them. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making stats up myself, but I mean, like people just kind of. I was beat, so I beat, and they'll beat, and I mean, like,
they do what's familiar.
I mean, yeah,
because they keep focusing on being beaten.
Yeah.
So because you're going to recycle whatever you focus on.
Yeah.
You just believe that to be true for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Painful, good. People want good, they want better, but they also don't want to face what they have to face. That, the extreme ownership is honestly one of the most empowering mentalities to have, because yes, you're a victim, but you completely control how you react.
Yeah.
You think of that, well, if I don't like where my life is right now, literally in one choice, I can completely change my life. That's pretty powerful.
You can.
But now it also requires work.
Yeah.
It requires change. It requires pain. But that is also one of the things that you need in life is pain, to remind you that, number one, you're still alive. Number two, you can get through it.
Yeah.
But also, three, you don't want to live in a life of pain. That's why, there's this picture of this cliff, and there's one tree on it. Roots are all over the place, and it's leaning into the ocean. It's leaning into the wind. Who knows how many trees were on that cliff at one point, but that's the only tree standing. And my takeaway was because he leaned into it.
Mm-hmm.
He found his footing and he leaned in. Everybody else gave up. Wind's too hard. I'm out. Right? But that one tree, I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna figure out what I need to figure out because this wind is not gonna beat me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reaction. Nature's reaction. Crazy.
Yeah.
You look at trees and they've been through fires. You slice them up and you look at the rings of all the stuff they've been through. They keep growing.
Yeah.
It was horrible, forest fires, but trees still continue to grow. It's crazy, right? We continue to grow. We just keep looking at life as what's happening to me because we have expectations of what we think we want in life. We want life to be a certain way. Expectations are the greatest setup for failure in a negative sense because people think failure means you don't have the capability of. You actually, like I told you, when we look at capabilities of only the things we succeed at, we're missing the whole picture. We succeed at 10% of the things that we attempt. It's the 90% that we fail at that's actually the greatest lesson. That shows us our resilience, that shows us our capacity, that reminds us of our ability to overcome. It's like a scar. You get cut doesn't mean that you're fragile. It means you can heal. It means you can move on. It's a reminder of what you can do, not what happened to you. Right?
Yeah.
We just look at it wrong.
Some deep stuff.
Man, that was some layers.
Yeah. Well, we started talking about layers in the beginning of this talk, and we ended talking about layers.
So here's a question for you. Like watching the news and things with COVID, I've just seen reports of like the increase in domestic abuse and violence and, just a lot of crime in Houston, Montgomery County. Have you seen that through the past almost year?
Yeah.
Really?
Almost a year. I mean, nothing that particularly comes to mind. I mean, I haven't really seen an influx. I mean, it seemed like a little bit on the front side of COVID when like all of a sudden, you're on like month 2 or 3 of being locked up in your house. You know what I'm saying? Like people were I was seeing some assaults kind of come in a lot more, you know what I'm saying? And I was seeing a lot more drinking or drug related things as far as like, public intoxes, and there was a little influx I saw at the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Because I think everybody at first was like, all right, we're going into quarantine, you know what I'm saying? And after a couple months, they're like, screw you, they're all, drinking all day or whatever at the house, working remotely, having some wine, you know what I'm saying? And but I think it's kind of planed out. Like there was a spike there at the beginning, and then it's just kind of like everybody's kind of like, I think a lot of people are like over this crap. I know I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like I've kind of, I'm just, and that's come and gone in some different ways for me too, where I'm not wearing a mask, being like, okay, let me just order my food curbside, you know what I'm saying? So I have to walk in here like a rebel with no mask on, like, fuck you, I'm not wearing a mask, but so now, I mean, like I've just kind of evolved through these times too, but, I mean, I don't know if this is the new thing. I mean, is COVID the new deal? I mean, we masked up, we, locked up in our houses. I mean, I've got an aunt that hasn't been out of her house in like 10 months. I mean, up in Maryland. I mean, like she won't see family. I mean, like, Christmas, my parents had COVID over Christmas. So we actually didn't get to see my parents, So, but we weren't, Thanksgiving we got together. I mean, we weren't, I saw some of these people doing drive-by, dropping presents off, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, it's cute, whatever. But like we got together as a family,
Numbers just don't add up to me, man.
Yeah.
I am not a conspiracy person. I'm literally 4951, like logic and creative, right? So I love to deep dive. I'll go down the rabbit hole, right? I'll start, and before I will believe a narrative of like somebody's post or something, let me go do some research. Let me figure this out, right? And the thing that just didn't add up was the numbers of COVID, with also talking to physicians, talking to coroners, talking to people that are at the front line of this, going, if you test positive for COVID and you had a heart attack, it's classified as a COVID death.
Yeah.
So these numbers being used to perpetuate fear in people, which fear creates control.
Yeah.
It's putting people, like there was some family that wouldn't see us over the holidays when we went to California. I mean, so sad, right?
They're from Texas. It's bad there.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
need to quarantine for 14 days. We're only here for 7, okay? So let's just be real. Again, whatever, man.
Yeah, don't come over, wear a mask, put your shield on, whatever. Honk from the curb. I mean, but we're gonna.
Unless you ask my opinion, I will not give it.
Yeah,
right. I respect myself enough.
Yeah,
I'm also not trying to change somebody's mind, but for myself, for my own ease of conscience, like I look at this stuff and I'm like, okay, 99.8.9% of people recover from COVID. Now, some lose their sense of taste, smell, like there's some things that happen.
A headache for a couple weeks.
But there are others that tragically, I think the number was who actually died because of COVID. It's like 10,000 something, right? The other 300 plus had COVID.
With diabetes.
But it was a comorbidity, right? But it was people that typically when you have the flu.
With pneumonia.
Yeah.
Pre-existing, 400 pounds.
Yeah. It just, but just as, I haven't bought one of these and I can't tell you how many years, but I was getting a couple of things. I was getting some coffee at H-E-B and they had the newspapers. Dude, I haven't seen like newspaper headlines in forever, but of course what happened yesterday at the Capitol, but the weirdest thing seeing a newspaper headline like this.
Yeah, with Trump people.
People climbing the Capitol building. And so here's my question. And this is literally an honest question for me.
So crazy.
The Capitol building is the pinnacle of our government of this country, right? Next to the White House, probably one of the most secure, CIA, FBI, all that, right? One of the most secure buildings of this country you have historical art, probably the copy of the Constitution that I think gets sucked down to the ground like 500 million stories if something happened.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden these people just ransacked it, went into like Pelosi's office and there's email up on the computer and feet up on and the one guy that had the horns
Costume.
and the chest hair and had been photographed at other rallies. And you're going, I don't know, man. Like how do you just all of a sudden just walk in literally through? One of the pictures I saw were these protesters walking through the rope barriers for the Capitol foyer. Not like, rah, you're like coming in like barbarians, but how did you all of a sudden end up in the chamber of one of the most secure buildings in the country when you have Capitol Police, you've got
every single type of law
and they
enforcement.
Just walk right in? Was this enabled? Like, I am not I'm. What's your take on that, man? Like, it's
actors is what my take is.
Huh?
Actors. Dude, I can go down the wormhole, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you started seeing some of the stuff too, where they were showing like the dude with the horns, like yeah, he was at this deal, and like this isn't either Republican or Democrat. This is an actor, I mean, like I don't know, bro. Like I mean, I was never really into the conspiracy theory stuff, but like I start to kind of get into it, like
Number one, looking at newspapers.
We started kind of talking about Pizzagate and MK Ultra, and just go down the rabbit hole, boy. Yeah. What is it? Wayfair ordering babies for $10,000 cabinets, and I guess a 10-month-old comes in the mail or something.
I mean, the crazy thing, like the name of it, and it's the missing kid. Like it. For me, I've learned in life, at least this far at 47, there's very, very little. These things are not coincidental. Like I always try to take a 90,000 foot view and look at things, but it's like it's like even rumors. Like there's always a little shred of truth to every rumor.
Yes,
right. You just got to dig a little bit, go down the grapevine, kind of uncover. But it's common sense. Again, common sense is different for everybody. Common sense comes from your upbringing, your environment, all that kind of culminates, right? But looking at numbers and looking at how did these people just all of a sudden just overrun the Capitol building?
Some of the stuff my wife and I have been talking about, some of the things like some of the things I was mentioning, I'm not really like a super conspiracy theory, but I think that's so that like our minds can't wrap around some of the stuff that's really happening. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, no way they're eating babies here. Like there's no way, you know what I'm saying? But then like you see these stats or different things behind it and all these missing children and when it started at this time,
Epstein Island,
I'm like, what?
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and then you start getting into like seeing these people, like this dude doesn't look like he voted for Trump. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I mean, doesn't look like a conservative, you know, right wing kind of guy, you know, and then you start seeing them kind of patching these people in from different rallies and like tattoos that marked. I'm like, wow.
You know, a lot of these people, they were kind of remind me of the guys you see at a bar that there's going to be two guys that get into a bar fight, but everybody else just jumps in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, since we're here, let's just go ahead and do it.
Did Trump call everybody to DC? I mean, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like he rallied them up, you know what I'm saying?
But he's also not controlling people's minds to make them go do things. He's not working with a joystick.
Yeah.
Like in a mind controlled chip or, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I think that, interesting times, buddy. I think it's going to be, but I'm going to do good no matter what. I mean, I did good during Bush and, what was it? Biden, or no, what was it? Obama. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I always hear all these people calling it Biden. So like every time I say, yeah, I'm like, Obama. I'm like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? And you know, Trump. And I mean, during Biden's presidency, if that ends up coming to fruition, then I'm going to do well in that too. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not, then I'll go to my bunker out in Fairfield.
You have a bunker?
On my 200 acres out there and just disappear.
I know where I'm headed.
Yeah.
I'm hooking up with Elliott.
Disappear, yeah. We'll get my deuce and a half military truck and just run cars over at 45 North.
I'm going with the bounty guy.
Yeah. So I've got plans every which way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember Y2K.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And people like doing bunkers, getting gas.
The computers were going to crash.
Yes. You remember
Guess
that?
where I was?
Where?
I was at the Fish Millennium Show out in southern Florida on an Indian reservation doing drugs. The 1999 New Year's, there was a jam band called Fish, Phish.
Yeah. And
I was like hula hooping, you know, as the computers were just be blowing up. I guess you're probably doing something a little more responsible.
Let's see, 99.
20 years ago, you were what, 27?
Yeah, I had
26.
99.
Did you have kids on the ground?
No, I didn't.
No.
That's when I had just started competing as a triathlete. First wife had just left, and I was about to lose my job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As an engineer.
Here we are now, though.
Here we are, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bald and beautiful.
Good stuff. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Elliott, where can people connect with you? On a legal way.
Yeah, legal way. Yeah, my Elliott Sondag is my handle on Instagram and on Facebook. Okay. And then for bail, we're Godfather's Bail Bonds, quadruple A bail bonds.
So you'd be first in line on the yellow pages for a lot of people that don't
Back
know what
in the day,
is.
A space, A1, A. Yeah, we are from the phone book days.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, for a better way. And then our dog training business is off like the come and take it flag, right, with the cannon on it. We're come and train it. Canine.
Nice.
So we took the cannon off and put a German Shepherd on there. So we're come and train it canine. We do basic obedience dog training.
So when your shit shoe's out of control.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we get them.
German Shepherd's a little too German. Like just taking a little too much, right?
Yeah. So that's it. So Elliott Sondag, Sondag, 2 L's, 2 T's. That's all my social media stuff. And that's where you can find me, brother.
And be on the lookout for this new.
Well, I'm thinking. I really feel the Bounty Hunt TV show. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Will you bring me back on if we lock and load
100%.
A&E or something like
that? Yes, 100%.
Yes. Good, bro.
Brother, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, man.
I really do appreciate it.